In this video I'm going to walk you through the specimen paper for Nat 5 practical metalwork. A G-clamp is used for clamping material securely to a surface. The drawing below shows how a G-clamp is to be made. So we've got a picture of the G-clamp showing the screw thread and the internal thread. Name the tool used to cut the internal thread in the frame. Well, that would be a tap. Complete the procedure for cutting the internal thread in the frame. Drill the pilot hole in the frame, add lubricant to the tap, put the tap in the tap wrench, turn clockwise to begin cutting the thread, turn anti-clockwise to release the swarf. Repeat steps 4 and 5 until the thread is fully cut. The tool shown below was used to cut the screw thread. Name this tool. Well, that's a die and a die stock. Explain why the external thread on the screw must be cut after the internal thread in the frame is cut. So if you cut the internal thread and then cut the external thread and you try to screw it in, if it's too tight, what you can do is you can use the die, make adjustments to the die to cut more material so that with the die so that it fits properly. Centre lathe shown below was used in the manufacture of parts of the G-clamp. Name parts A and B, the 3-jaw chuck and the tailstock. Identify the correct height by ticking the box below. Well, it's the one that's aligned up to the middle. Describe what could happen if the cutting tool was not set at the correct height. Well, one thing would be it wouldn't turn the metal as efficiently. Another answer would be the fact that if you were facing off, you would end up with the little sort of raised part in the middle of the rod because it's not been lined up to the centre. Stop and timing bar of the G-clamp are shown below. The machine processes used from the end of the stop and timing bar are shown at X and Y. Name the machining process carried out at X and Y. Well, X would be taper turning and Y would be parallel turning. The machine below was used to drill a blind hole in the movable jaw of the G-clamp. Name the machine. It's either a pedestal drill or a pillar drill. Explain what is meant by the term blind hole. Well, this is a hole that doesn't go all the way through the material. Describe 2 circumstances when it would be appropriate to reduce the speed of the machine. If you're using a bigger drill and you need more torque, then you want to slow the speed of the machine. If you are drilling a smaller hole, then you would increase the speed of the machine. With a smaller drill bit, that is, you would increase the speed of the machine. Describe how the machine would be set to ensure that the hole is drilled to the correct depth. Well, you would use the depth stock. Describe 3 safety checks that should be carried out in the machine before switching it on. Well, you want to check that the drill is securely attached to the chuck, that the guard is in position, that you know where the emergency buttons are. State one property of high carbon steel. Well, high carbon steel is very hard. A door latch for changing cubicle at the local sports centre is shown in the diagram below. The front plate requires a slot to be cut. The marking out of this slot is shown in the diagram below. Line A has to be parallel to the bottom edge of the front plate. Name the marking tool which would be used to mark line A. Well, they would accept an engineer's square or possibly odd leg calipers. Waste material is produced as a result of cutting the slot. The waste material is placed in the appropriate recycling bin. Explain why it is important to recycle metal. Give 2 reasons. Well, metal is not a sustainable material, so you want to conserve it as much as possible by recycling it. What else? Explain why it's important to recycle metal. It's good for the environment if you recycle it. Aluminium and mild steel are two metals that can be recycled. State the property of mild steel that would allow it to be separated from aluminium during the recycling process. Well, if it's a steel, it contains iron, so it will be magnetic. The diagram below shows an exploded view of part of the door latch. You've got the back plate, the spacers, the front plate and the rivets. 4 rivets are to be drilled in the front and back plates. The front plate was marked out and drilled before being used as a template for the back plate. Describe 2 advantages of using a template rather than marking out individual holes. Well, it will ensure that the lines, that the holes on the front and back plate line up. And what else? Describe 2 advantages of using a template rather. It would ensure that accuracy of repetition if you're making more than one.